Okay, YouTube, I'm back. Here's part 2 of my rant/review of Karate Kid Part 3. Okay, now, last time I mentioned, the whole thing, like Daniel punching that guy at the bar. Okay, then Daniel goes over to Jessica's to apologizes, and they forgive each other. They say their goodbyes. And one thing I remember is, like, when he goes over there, first he tells her, what happened at the bar? That wasn't me. And then she's like, well, then who was it? Conan the Barbarian? It's like, yeah, I would much rather be watching Conan the Barbarian than this movie. I would take Conan the Destroyer over this movie, and I actually like Conan the Destroyer. Or people bash it, but I like it. Yeah, light years better than this movie. But anyways, so then after him and Jessica make up and say their goodbyes, Daniel decides to. Yeah, Daniel goes to Miyagi and he tells him he's going to go over to the Cobra Kai dojo, talk to Terry Silver, and unbeknownst to Daniel, Miyagi ends up following him there. But then Daniel goes inside the dojo and he just sees Terry Silver in there, and then he talks to him and he goes then he tells him that he doesn't want to train under him anymore, and he doesn't want to compete in the tournament. He's not gonna defend his title. Then Terry's like, "You are gonna defend. You're getting in that ring." And Daniel's like, "Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Silver, but you can't make me do something that I don't want to do." It's like, oh my god. There's nothing. Daniel is appallingly stupid in this movie. I'm like, he should have figured Silver out sooner. He should have, a lot sooner than this. He should have come and be like, hey, wait a minute. Some of what this Terry Silver guy is teaching me it's kind of questionable. But no, but then Terry's like, oh, Danny. The moment you met me, I've been making you do things you didn't want to do. He's like, what are you talking about? And then Terry's like, let's show him what he's talking about. Then Mike Barnes walks out and he goes like, I'm always talking about, shithead. Yeah, then Daniel tries to run away. Then Kreese jumps out right from behind in that cardboard cutout, and he scares Daniel. He's like, you guys can't make me do this, can't make me fight. And Silver's like, you don't have to. You just stand here and let him kick your ass. And then Barnes starts beating up Daniel, again. Then Daniel runs out of the dojo like a bitch, and Barnes chases him. But then, and Barnes gets thrown through the door, and look who it is. It's Mr. Miyagi. And this is probably the best scene in the movie, is when Miyagi fights Silver and Kreese in the Cobra Kai dojo, and he just kicks the shit up. He just owns them. They don't even get a finger on him. He just dominates. He just owns them. And then Silver does this funny, he's trying to imitate it, Miyagi, go wah, wah, and then Miyagi just kicks him into the mirror, and then paint falls on, and then Miyagi's like, wah, wah. Okay, that was funny. But then, and Silver goes you think this is the end of it, old man? I'm going to open Cobra Kai dojos all over this valley. Hell, I might even teach for free. From now on, all there'll be is Cobra Kai karate. John Kreese's karate. You only be a memory. Then Daniel says one of the dumbest things ever. He was like, yes, he will, you won't. Then Kreese and Silver just laugh at them. And it's like, why are you guys laughing? This guy Miyagi just kicked your asses. Is you guys should be frightened of this guy, but no. And then Daniel's like, Miyagi, now will you train me? And then Miyagi agrees, and then we get this training montage of Daniel and Miyagi doing kata together, while it's juxtaposing, we see that Mike Barnes is actually training. He's breaking bricks. He's punching bags. He's sparring with that dentist guy. In the Cobra Kai dojo. In this movie, when it's just Daniel and Miyagi training with kata, it's all they do. I mean, this movie makes kata look lame, and it's actually really not. I'm a karate student myself. I'm a blue belt. Hold on a sec. See, here's my blue belt, as proof that I'm not making that up. And you know, I mean, the way it looks like Barnes is actually training his ass off for this tournament. Well, Danny Miyagi, they're just doing kata and nothing else. I mean, it's a beautiful shot, but it's just also just like, are you kidding me? And then, you know, then later on, the tournament happens. And now, one thing I forgot to mention is that the tournament now has this new rule where the defending champion only has to fight one fight, the final match. And so they basically so Daniel gets a free ride to the final match of the tournament. And that was just so lame. It was like, they didn't want to do another montage, I guess. But I've never heard of like a tournament, whether it be a karate tournament or like a wrestling tournament, like any kind of martial arts or combat sports tournament where they do that. Like, I've never heard of that. But I'm like, also, if you're gonna do that, then why not give Mike Barnes his montage? Like, why not? Let's say you get have like a montage of Mike Barnes like dominating opponents throughout the All Valley tournament, like with Rocky Like a Hurricane playing on the soundtrack or whatever, like hard rock heavy metal song. I mean, that would be cool. That would be badass. But nope, we don't get that. Instead, we just see Barnes like fighting like a couple guys in the semifinals. Well, actually, just fighting a guy in like the semifinals or whatever. And he's fighting kind of dirty. And then later, Terry Silver gives this speech, like right before the final match, talking about how he and Kreese are going to be opening up a chain of Cobra Kai dojos together. And now we're about to get to what is this is the worst fight scene I've ever seen in a martial arts film or any film ever. I mean, like, here's the whole strategy. This is Silver's game plan. And this is what his game plan for Mike Barnes is, what their strategy is. Win a point, then lose a point, keep the score tied 0-0, then in sudden death overtime, get the point and win. Okay, I have many problems with this. For one, unlike in the first movie, there wasn't a 3-minute time limit. Like, it's just, plus there shouldn't be one. It's whoever earns 3 points wins. It's like, okay, shouldn't it's like there shouldn't be a time limit if all you need is 3 points. Wait, it's like that wasn't in the first movie. Well, why they put this in all of a sudden? And two, and what if the guy gets disqualified? Like that sounds a bit too risky. Okay, now let's go to the fight itself. Oh my God, this is worst fight scene ever. All it is just Mike Barnes beating the shit out of Daniel for 3 full minutes. But he loses points because he kicks Daniel in the groin and he punches him like in the head when he's not supposed to, like when there's like a break and they're supposed to get back in their lines. I mean, Barnes just beats the crap out of Daniel. Like, he kicks him in the groin, like kicks him like on the shoulders and like on the back. He punches him in the back, punches him like in the chest, like he just like is just beating the crap out of him. I mean, and also like another scene, like when he's like when Daniel's just trying to run away, then Silver grabs him like, now the real pain begins, Danny boy. And Barnes just pushing him. I'm like, that should result in a disqualification. Like, Barnes does so many things that should have gotten him disqualified 5 times over. For like this whole win a point, lose a point thing. It's stupid. Yeah, then, and here comes the really stupid part. when like the full 3 minutes are up and like Daniel's telling Miyagi, Mr. Miyagi, I'm afraid. I want to go home. I'm afraid I'm all right. What do I do? It's like, dude, you freaking won a fucking death match at the end of part 2. Ooh, and you weren't acting like, oh, I'm scared. I want to go home. No, you took on Chosen like a man. Now you're crying like a baby. How you want to go home? This is pathetic. Idic. I mean, and also like it also doesn't seem like Daniel at all. Like remember in the first movie, like in the semifinals, like Bobby injured his knee, and Daniel was adamant, Miyagi, please fix my knee. I need to continue. No, Daniel was adamant about continuing to fight. He wasn't quitting. He wasn't going down without a fight. Right. In part 2, like he'd said, he's like, okay, he fought Chosen. He may have been scared, but he wasn't crying. Like he faced him. Now so how does he go from, like wanting, his knee fixed so he could fight in the final match to being so scared of Barnes he wanted to go home? It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Like if there's one thing Daniel was not in the first 2 films, it was a quitter. He was not a quitter. He knew he might not, win a fight, but he wasn't going down without one. He wasn't going to let them get the best of him. But now, like, he's like, oh, Mr. Miyagi, I'm afraid. What do I do? I want to go home. But then, Miyagi was like, Daniel-san, your best karate is still inside. Not time, let out. And then Mike Barnes just trash talks him. It's like, I'm pretty sure he would get disqualified for this as well. It's like, Barnes does so many things that would get him disqualified. It's so dumb. It's like I hope this referee was fired after the events of this movie. I mean, he's not the referee on Cobra Kai in season 1. It's a new guy, so I mean, no, it's likely he retired, but I think there's a good chance if it wasn't because he was retired, it's because he got fired. I hope this referee was fired after the events of this movie, because he should have been. I mean, Barnes should have been disqualified at numerous times. It's just, oh my goodness. And then, then in sudden death, then Daniel, now his confidence is back again. And Daniel performs kata, then Barnes is all confused. And here's why I don't get, okay, Barnes is like this big time karate champion. Like, we don't know like whether if he's a state champion or a national one, but he's in Black Belt magazine, so he's got to at least be statewide, right? If he's made like a name for himself like that. Yet he's confused when he sees Daniel doing kata. I'm like, are you trying to tell me this guy's never seen kata before? Or that is bullshit. But then, when Daniel, something like this, then Barnes charges at him, then Daniel grabs his arm, flips him over, then punches him in the rib, gets the point, and wins. So yeah, there we have it. Daniel wins the tournament by getting a lucky punch in sudden death overtime. The reason why he won was because the bad guys were complete fucking morons in this movie. They thought it'd be a good idea to lose points on purpose. Yes, but nope. Daniel ends up winning because of a fluke victory in overtime. I mean, just even when Daniel wins, it doesn't feel all that triumphant. Like, it doesn't feel triumphant at all. Like in the first movie, when he beat Johnny with a crane kick, you felt it. It was impactful. It was triumphant. When Daniel beat Chosen in the second movie with the drum technique, you felt it. It was triumphant. But here, no, this is just a fluke. Ook. It doesn't really feel like, it just feels like Daniel just got a lucky hit in overtime. Like, if the bad guys hadn't screwed around with that stupid win a point, lose a point thing, Barnes would have won 3-0. The fight would have been over in like in like 90 seconds or less. Like, my goodness, like, this movie is so fucking stupid. Just, oh. Okay, I think I've said enough about this film. It's got some interesting ideas, and while my disdain for it isn't quite as strong as it was like years ago, it still is pretty strong. I still think this movie is a piece of shit. And it is where the Karate Kid franchise jumped the shark. Arc. Like, I think the reason why I'm a little bit less harsh on it now is because back in the day, like this was the last Karate Kid related thing that had Ralph Macchio in it. Now, it wasn't like the last Karate Kid movie ever made, but it was the last one that had Daniel in it, so it was the last one that really mattered. And this was such a shitty way for his character to go out. And I'm so glad we got Cobra Kai. I think because of Cobra Kai, I think that my disdain for this film is slightly less strong than it used to be, but I still dislike this film heavily. It does have some interesting ideas in it, but it's done so piss poorly. I mean, instead of having this tournament, maybe you could have had maybe when Silver's like you either fight one day, or you fight every day for the rest of your life. What's going to be, Danny? But maybe Daniel will go fine, I'll fight all of you right now, and maybe we could see him and Miyagi against Kreese, Silver, and Barnes, and they kick their asses together. That would have been a much more satisfying ending than just Daniel getting his ass kicked for the full 3 minutes, then winning by getting a lucky punch in overtime because the bad guys were dumb enough to think that losing points on purpose and keeping the score tied 0-0 was a brilliant idea. Just, my gosh, okay, if I were going to rate this film out of 5 stars, I give it 1.5. That's being generous. If I were to rate this film out of 10 stars, I give it a 3 out of 10. That's being generous. I mean, another reason why... Now, I think when I did my review back in 2016 on Shitty Sequel Sunday, I gave this movie 1 out of 5 and a 2 out of 10. But now I put it 1.5 and 3 out of 10. And because I think... I think even Cobra Kai has sort of made some of the aspects, the revenge aspect, Kreese getting revenge, Kreese wanting revenge, and Daniel turning the dark side. It's made bad aspects of this movie a little bit more interesting, but still the way they handle it so piss poorly in this film. And this film just feels like just a pale copy of the original. The director of this film did not like how this film turned out. Ralph Macchio does not like this film at all. In fact, according to Robin Lively, he would show up to the set late and he would frequently complain about the film's script. And you could tell he doesn't want to be here. His performance is just not good in this movie either. They're other scenes, some scenes he's hyper, kind of annoying too. And other scenes he's just a jerk. Daniel was a likable character in the first 2 films, but this film, he's not all that likable anymore. This film is just, it's got some interesting ideas in it, but they do it so poorly. So, yeah, I give this movie 3 out of 10 and a 1.5 out of 5. And that's being generous. So, and, the movie ends with, people throwing their Cobra Kai t-shirts back at Kreese and Silver and stuff, and Kreese throwing it back, And also, I think they got thrown at Snake as well. And also, we see Miyagi and Daniel hugging. He's like, Miss Miyagi, forget about her! We did it! Yeah! And then rolls in credits and plays Listen to Your Heart, which, not to be confused with with what was the name of that band that did it, like fading like a Roxette, not to be confused with the Roxette song. It's a different song. It was like, listen to your heart. I mean, it's okay, but it's not as good of a song as you're the best around, or it's the moment of truth, you're giving it all, standing alone, willing to fall. If you can do it, get up and prove it, get up and show them who you are, which are both songs that were in the first film. And it's also not as good of a song as The Glory of Love from Karate Kid Part 2. Just, yeah, this film, it's very underwhelming. It leaves a lot to be desired. It was just a terrible way to end the trilogy. Yeah. Yeah, I will say this. This movie is not as bad as the next Karate Kid. When I did my Shitty Sequel Sunday review of this film back in 2016, I had not seen the next Karate Kid. I didn't see the next Karate Kid until like the fall of 2018, and that movie is even worse than this. I don't know how they managed to do a Karate Kid film that was worse than this, but they did. But, and wrapping up, like, I will say one more thing. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of the Terry Silver character, I am very curious to see how Cobra Kai Season 4 is going to handle him. And from the trailers, it looks like, that they're making him, that he's going to be less goofy and less over the top. And so, who knows, maybe, that they can get the character right. Maybe they can take a character that was just so, like, campy and cartoonish and just ridiculous. And so maybe the show can make something good out of him. Or maybe make something great out of him. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Hey, yeah, there were so many different ways you could try, Kreese getting revenge. I mean, you could have set the movie with Daniel as an adult. I mean, Ralph Macchio was already, he was showing his age here. And also another thing I forgot to mention, he looks really pudgy in this movie. In the first two films, he's really thin, but in this film, he looks kind of pudgy. Gee. So, like, it might have been cool, like, maybe Kreese, like, maybe it could be like when Daniel's like in his 20s and Kreese kidnaps Daniel's girlfriend as an act of revenge, then Daniel has to go and save her, then he and Kreese have this big fight at the end. That would have been cool, but that's one idea I thought of how you could make this movie better. Like, there's so many different ways you could have done this film, but they chose this way, and all I can say, it was bad. Didn't work. So, but anyways, that's enough. That's all I have for today. Yeah. Well, bye now.